Hi folks, this is the catch-up video for week 3 of getting in. I hope you're enjoying it, and I know I gave you homework to do last week and nobody likes homework, but we'll get to that in a second. But hopefully you're enjoying yourselves. And if you weren't able to make it to the meeting last night, the Zoom meeting, what we'll do is we'll just take you through how to fill in the forms. So the first thing you'll need to do is collect together the sheets that you have. And in particular, we've done week 1 and week 2, and we're getting to the big booklet in the middle from week 3 and 4. Okay, so it looks like this, the Getting In program, and it looks like that. If you have got that, then you're ready to go. If you haven't, pause the video, go and get it, and come back. So let me summarize what we've done. We're talking about getting into church, and the question is, well, what is church that we're getting into? What's it about? And we're saying, well, church is a group of people trying to help each other grow in faith. So the first question was, well, what does growing in faith look like for you? And the second question was, well, what's the group of people around you? We can't really be church for everybody. We can be church for those we can connect with, and we choose who we connect with. And it's important to be intentional about who we do church with. So it's about making an effort and trying and committing to people, praying for people, and sticking with people. I mean, if you try even just thinking through our prayer calendar at church, there's over 100 names. Imagine trying to be a good friend to all 100 people. Now, nobody can do that. But we can be good for some, and that's what church really is. Okay, so it's about connecting with people. What we're going to do in weeks 3 and 4 is look at you as an individual. Each of us is different, and that's a good thing. God loves diversity. And because we're all different, we can all fill a different space in the church, do a different thing, be part of something different. And that's good. So if you want to find your unique place, it's about connecting with the right people. It's about looking to grow faith, but it's about understanding who you are and where you might fit. So what we do this week is we fill in a lot of forms. And then next week, we look at those forms to try and engage with what kind of person you are and what kind of things you enjoy. And then in week 5, we'll take those things and we'll look at all the opportunities in the church, all the needs of the community, and we'll say, well, where do you fit? What's your part in that? Okay, so that's the plan. Week 3 and 4 are looking at you as an individual, and week 5 we'll discuss together how those individual people will fit in the different parts of the church. There's so many things can happen in church. So what we're going to do this week is take the sheets. We're going to, if you can turn immediately to page 3 of the booklet, you've got a circle in the middle. The circle describes 3 areas where we're unique. One is the things that motivate us, the things that we enjoy. One is our personality, what we're like. And the third one is our spiritual gifts. So what we're going to do is we're going to try and there's a little test for each. It's not a test that you can fail. Don't stress about it. Although Alistair failed it the last time. It's not a test you can fail, but it's a little simple test to help you prioritize different things that motivate you, different things about your personality, and to try and help you understand your spiritual gifts. Okay, so let's start with, on pages 4 and 5, your motivators, the things that motivate you. So page 4 looks like a big list, and page 5 is a weird triangle. What we're going to do is we're going to take page 4. Look down the list, put yes, no, or maybe beside each thing. Is this the sort of thing I like? Is this the sort of thing that motivates me? Following instructions is the first one on the first list. Do I like following instructions? For me, no. Do I like serving? For me, sometimes. Do I like empathizing, being sensitive? For me, sometimes. Okay, as you go down the list, communicating, for me, yes. Convincing for me, yes, right? And you'll end up with a whole load of ticks, X's, and maybes. The key is just stop with each just for a moment. Don't stress about it. Don't worry about if you're getting it right or whatever. Just have a quick think. Is that what I'm like? Yes or no? Is that what I'm like? Yes or no? If you're not sure, go with a maybe. If you end up with 48 maybes, you're Chloe Honeyball. But no, yes or no. Simple and easy. What you'll do then is you'll have a list of ones that you've said yes to or you've put ticks beside. What I want you to do is take them to the triangle. What we're going to do is choose the one that you think out of all these things most motivates you. And we put that at the top of the triangle. So if you look at all the ones you've ticked or said yes to, and then say, well, which of those is most you? Right, I'm going to put that at the top of the triangle. And then underneath that, okay, what's next? The next two, and then the next three, and then the next four. It doesn't have to be exact, but it'll give us an idea of what motivates you and the sort of things that you like. For Alistair, it might be very much working with tools, making photographs, being creative, repairing. He likes that kind of thing. For somebody else, it might be very much people things. I'm very into people. For others, it might be information, studying, learning, getting stuff in your head. We're all different. That's the whole point. So what we'll end up with is a triangle with at least a few. If you haven't chosen more than 3 or 4 things, that would be unusual. But put in the top things that are priorities to you. Okay, that's step 1 done. 1 out of 3, you're doing well. Okay, so once you've done that, you can pause the video and do that now if you want to do that, and that'll get you through that. It won't take more than 10 minutes. In fact, it shouldn't take more than 5. 48 things, you're going to have 48 brief moments of thought, and then you're going to try and put them in the triangle. So you can either pause it now or go and do it again, but that's what we're doing for the pages 4 and 5, right? So you've got a big list and you've got a triangle. Okay, on the next section then, we're going to look at what your behaviour's like, what kind of character you've got. We're going to use a disc profile for this. There are other ones, but this one's simple. So we're going to start on page 7 with another list. There are 4 boxes of 10. And you're going to do the same again. Yes or no? Yes or no? Okay. Beside each one, I just want a tick or a blank. Decisive. Are you decisive? I am. So I tick that. Are you results oriented? Maybe I am. I have to decide. I tick or I don't. And what we'll end up with is a list of things that we've ticked or left blank. Like before, on the back on page 8, or if you've got a separate page, that's okay. On page 8, there's another triangle. So you go down that list of things you've ticked and you say, well, which one of those is most me? Maybe likes to be around people. I'm not good at being my own. Maybe optimistic and enthusiastic. And we'll prioritize them again into that list, okay? And we end up with a list of things that are priorities about our character, just like before in a triangle. The other thing we're going to do is just count the list for each of the 4 sections, right? So the list under dominant here, how many did you tick? If you count them and put a number at the bottom. The same with each of the 4 lists. And then we're going to go to the square on page 6. Okay? So in that list of dominant things, maybe I picked 7. What I would do is count out from the middle of the square, on the line under where it says dominant, I would go out 70 points and I would put an X there. The same with the other 3. Maybe I'm 30 here, 40 here, and 80 here. It doesn't matter what the numbers are, but what I want you to do is then put 4 X's and then join them up so you'll have a weird shape. Mine isn't that weird usually. Usually mine is almost square. It's just not central. It's up. But anyway, you look at what shape you've got and just draw it in. And you can kind of shade it in so you can see the shape of it. Okay, that'll be helpful when we come to discuss this next week. Okay, so at the end of this time, what you should have now, if you have done this section, and if we'll get pause for a moment and you can do it, and what you should have then is a triangle with all the things that motivate you, and now you should have a triangle with all your characteristics and a square that gives a summary of them. Okay, so we have 2 triangles and a square so far. Again, if you want to pause the video now and go and look at that section and get it filled in, that's great. Again, it shouldn't take you longer than I've been speaking. Another 5 minutes should get that section done. It's not a long conversation. Okay, so just for each one, have a moment, think about it, and tick it or don't. And then count your ticks, and then prioritize the ones that you've chosen. Okay, so if you've done that, we're 2/3 of the way through. Isn't that great? You're halfway through the booklet. Now, the third section's about spiritual gifts. Let me just, I think it's going to get dark in here, so I'm just going to flick the light on. I'm talking 10 to the dozen and getting nowhere, eh? 15 to the dozen? Who knows? So the third part is about our spiritual gifts. Again, it's just about who you are that I'm not. That's unique to you. God's made you uniquely. And to study this, we're going to look not at 20 spiritual gifts. I've done tests of spiritual gifts, and there are 19, 20, 21. People count them differently, but there are a lot of spiritual gifts. Either you do miracles or you don't. If you do miracles, that's brilliant. And please come to church and please do miracles for some of the people in the church because we need it. But we're going to look at 7 of the major spiritual gifts that are very much characteristic based, that are very much based on who we are. And we're going to have a look at that. What we're going to do for each one is do a test on each one. Each test consists of 20 statements, and you rank yourself out of 5 points for each statement. That means you can have a maximum of 100 and a minimum of 0. Now, before you start doing it, I'll give you a couple of things to think about. Our mood very much affects how much we give ourselves points on something. So I think you should do all of these while you're in the same mood. That means do them all at the same time. There are 7 sections with 20 questions, so that's 140 questions. It will take 15 minutes, maybe, which isn't endless, but don't leave it and come back to it, because you might just be happier or sadder when you come back, and you might just give yourself more points and less points because of that. The number of points doesn't actually matter, just how they compare with each other. So if you're in a grumpy mood, you'll give yourself less points for all of them, but the one that you're best at will still come out with the most points. The one that you're worst at will still come out with the least points. Okay, does that make sense? I hope I haven't confused you there. I'm just saying, if you can do all of this section at once, it'll save you from getting too mixed up in the results that you get. What we're going to do then, I'll just take you through it. If you look at page 9, it looks like this, and there's 20 statements that would be considered, if you agree with them, these are the sort of things somebody who is prophetic would sort of look into. So what we're going to do then is count them for ourselves. We're going to use this toolkit, and we're going to give ourselves points. As I said, don't stress too much. There's 20 questions, so if you give yourself something slightly too high a number, slightly too low a number, it doesn't matter. There's 19 other questions to balance it out. Don't stress about it, but take your time and think about each statement, and then give yourself a number out of 5. Try and be as honest as you can, but don't stress about it too much. And try and do them all. Just rattle through them, not racing through them, but take each statement, think about it, give yourself a number. Let me give you a few examples. So under the prophet, the first one says, quickly discerns what is good or evil, hates evil. Well, how much do you prioritize good and evil? Okay, I might think 2 out of 5. Actually, I'm more concerned about other aspects of my faith. who I belong to, not how good I am. So I would give myself a lower number. The second one, there is only right and wrong, nothing in between. Well, I believe in right and wrong, but so much of our world is neither. So I might give myself a low number again. I hope I'm not influencing you. I'm just giving you examples of what I would say. So I would tick or give myself points for each one. And you go down the outside column, you give yourself the points, and then you put a total at the bottom. One of the ones to be careful of is, I think it's the encourager at the bottom of the second page. Oh no, the teacher, because there's 19 on this page and 1 at the top of the next page. Don't miss that one out, okay? It counts as well. But you're going to go through those, and what you'll end up with is 7 sets of numbers. You'll add them up to get 7 numbers, 1 for each spiritual gift. Does that make sense? I hope that does. What I want you to do then is go to page 15. Page 15 looks like this, and at the top there's a box. And just beside each spiritual gift, you can put the number you got, 71, 46, 39, whatever the number is between 0 and 100, you put that number in the box beside it. And when you look at those things, you can see there's lots of boxes beside it. If you want, you can put them in number priority, from high priority to low priority. This is the one I got the highest mark in. This is the one I got the lowest mark in. You can do it that way if you want. As long as you have those 7 numbers, when I come back to you next week to go through it, we'll be able to discuss what those things mean. Okay, so hopefully now, if you go away and do that, that'll take 10 or 15 minutes. And what I'll do next week is I'll come back to each of you individually or as a couple, and I'll talk you through the results that you've got and what that might mean for you. When we do that, it's just the 2 triangles and the square and that little box at the end that I'm really interested in. Individual answers are not hugely concerning for me. I just want you to get a big picture, and that's why there's so many questions, so you get a bigger picture. If you have those things ready, that's great, and that will help us get an idea of potential for you, what kind of person you are. On page 16, there's just 3 circles. Finding the right place for you means matching up who you are, your potential, with the opportunities that are around and the needs of others. If we can find a place for you that matches the things that you love and are good at and are skilled for with what is needed and what the opportunities are, that's perfect. That's where you should be. That's what we want you to do. So we'll try and think about that. And if you've got ideas of needs and opportunities, you can fill them in on this page, page 17. So you could put opportunities in the big circle and needs in the box. You don't have to do that. I'm not stressed about that, because in week 5, we come back and we go through a bunch of needs and opportunities that we recognize as a church. And we say, well, which of these might you see yourself in? Okay, so let me summarize before we finish this video. What we're trying to do is say, what is church? Church is a bunch of people trying to help each other grow in their faith. Well, what does faith look like? How do we grow in it? And what people am I connected to? But then where do I fit in that? And to find out where you fit, we want to find out what you are like as an individual. To do that, we're going to look at the things that motivate you, and we need a triangle for that. The things about your character, and we need a square and a triangle for that. And then your spiritual gifts, and we want the wee box at the end of that. If you've got those things done, what I'll do next week is I'll try and talk to everyone about their squares and triangles, whether we do that on Facebook, Zoom, or individually by phone or something. It doesn't matter, but we'll try and... Sorry, I've been eating carrots. That's entirely irrelevant, isn't it? I'll try and talk to each of you individually during the week, and we'll talk over your characteristics and the things you're good at. I hope that's all made sense. I hope that you all have the booklets, and I hope you don't find it too strenuous to fill it in. Don't stress if it seems very, very hard. Just answer the questions as simply and as easily as you can, and don't worry about the numbers being right. They'll work out. And I look forward to talking to each of you individually next week about your own characteristics and skills and abilities. Okay, thank you, and I'll speak to you next week. Thanks for getting in.